Okay, so I wanted to talk to you about a really profound experience that I had with Kundalini Activation, and it was quite early on. So it was my second session altogether, going to a Kundalini Activation session. And I remember on the way of going there, because I was kind of in my first session, kind of a bit concerned about what would happen, and I'm not sure I had fully let go in that session. So I remember walking to the session and feeling like something in me had kind of let go, and feeling like I didn't really care what happened and I was okay with whatever happened in the session. So the practitioner placed her hands on my hips, and it felt like literally this energy was just being poured into me, like her hands were kind of like these jugs of energy, and the energy was just being poured into me, like so much energy. And it was kind of slowly moving up my body, and it was kind of moving like this, kind of undulating up my body all the way to my heart. And then it was just circling my heart quite slowly, like maybe like this, round and round, and it was doing that for quite a while. And how does the energy feel? It kind of felt like the consistency of smoke moving through the body, but it didn't feel. It felt completely benevolent and kind of loving and not scary at all, really. Just I could fully kind of relax into it. And then as it was kind of going around my heart over and over and over again, it suddenly just rushed in so quickly, like so fast. And then it was like in the center of my heart, this pain was just like so painful. This really sharp feeling in the center of my heart that kind of was kind of like getting more and more pronounced. And I was kind of being with it for a moment, and then suddenly I had a thought that was like, how long is this going to go on for? Because I'm not sure I can really take it. And then suddenly the whole pain and the whole feeling, that was the other thing that happened, is obviously I started crying as well. Like as soon as it reached my heart, it just suddenly opened something, and I just started crying, and there was this pain. So then when everything turned to bliss, it was like all of the sadness and all of the pain that I was experiencing just suddenly, and I could feel the energy in my whole system turn from sadness and pain into bliss. And when I say bliss, it felt like a kind of like an ecstasy, just total ecstasy. And a vision came into my mind of me just lying on the grass with the sun in my face, and a thought that repeated over and over in my mind that basically just said, this is heaven, 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 over and over again. And literally I just lay there with this image in my mind, with this sense of a kind of, I suppose, a kind of higher presence or something like that. And that went on for about 15 minutes, just total bliss. And then after the bliss was over, the energy started to move in my body again, and I could feel it kind of coming up. And I started to cough, and I started to cough more and more and more. And then it felt like I needed to open my mouth. So sometimes when a movement or something that is happening with Kundalini Activation, it very much feels like, I've said this before, but it feels like you're not the one doing it. It feels like you're being moved rather than you are moving yourself, if that makes sense. And so it was like it moved me to open my mouth, if that makes sense. And so I did, and then it was just like I let out this kind of a breath, like of air. But it was like whatever came out was just kind of like completely toxic. It was like almost like the thought in my mind was just like flies or something coming out of my mouth. It was just like whatever it was just so toxic, and it's like it was like this relief that I was like getting rid of it. So this was obviously this was my second session, and I knew nothing about Kundalini activation or energy work. I hadn't done Reiki, I hadn't done anything like this, and it was astounding to me, completely astounding, that something like this even existed or was even possible. And I kind of thought, well, why isn't everybody doing this? And I didn't even really, at that time, even really know what it meant. But obviously I went, I've been doing the process now, and I've become a practitioner myself. But really I'm putting this story out there, I suppose, as a kind of a way to open a door into someone that maybe has never experienced this before, doesn't know anything about energy work, doesn't know anything about Kundalini, but maybe this opens something in your mind that perhaps this can do something for you too. Yeah.